What's going on, folks? Ted from Nerd Immersion here, or Theodore the Orange in this instance. And I want to apologize, and I know most of you will tell me I don't have to, but I'm going to do it anyway, that I didn't get a chance to cover as much news as I wanted to for what happened today. But we're going to talk a little bit about something like Project Sigil today, because a ton of news dropped today, and I unfortunately was in the midst of long kind of distance work trip. Then I ran my home game, and then I have another game where I'm going to be in full costume this evening. So unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to cover some of the news that happened. We are going to talk about Project Sigil, which has launched officially in beta for everyone with a D&D Beyond subscription. So several of us have had alpha access or even the more recent beta access to play around and test some of the features ahead of time. Now it's kind of ready for the general public to use, and having added, I think, some things like music options and things to it. We'll talk a little bit about this D&D Beyond article that talks about the difference between it and D&D Beyond maps, something that I've covered extensively here on the channel. But the other important news that I will likely be covering tomorrow afternoon, that'll be Friday the 28th in the afternoon, is the new Unearthed Arcana for Artificer. Not only did it update the base Artificer with some of the adjusted and planned changes that some folks had asked for, it also introduced a whole new subclass in the Cartographer, as well as a couple new magic items, one new spell, and 28 new feats, which are pretty cool to see. So cover that in a full live stream tomorrow. But let's go ahead and dive in to this article here, which is all about Sigil and D&D Beyond, which we'll showcase right here. So I grabbed this off the front page of D&D Beyond, and it says Sigil and D&D Beyond maps. What are they and how do they differ? It says whether you play online or in person, virtual tabletops are an indispensable tool to immerse your group in gameplay and streamline combat and exploration. It says D&D Beyond now has two virtual tabletop options for you: Maps, a 2D virtual tabletop that seamlessly syncs your D&D Beyond library, and Sigil, an immersive 3D VTT with deep integration to D&D Beyond and world building and mini making tools. So I'm not really going to go too in depth in what maps is. I've talked about D&D Beyond maps extensively on this channel, and it has consistently gotten better over time, especially in the more recent, maybe 2 months or so. We've seen drastic improvements to the capabilities of D&D Beyond maps. And honestly, in a lot of ways, I think it's one of, if not one of the best user-friendly virtual tabletops, in that you don't have to have like a knowledge of a programming language to use it. And I'm not saying that there isn't good, things if you're using something like Roll20 or Fantasy Grounds or Foundry, where you have, you can build out a ton of stuff if you're willing to dive into the programming side and see how the macros and things work. That's great if that's what you want to do. But if you want something that's pretty clean, where you just kind of drag and drop and just go, well, that's really what D&D Beyond Maps is. And that's actually why I started using it in my Wednesday campaign. Is we got into a situation where we were kind of just beyond theater of the mind. We couldn't really just do what we wanted to do by me just describing it. People were asking for positioning information. So we actually ended up finding and using D&D Beyond Maps. And like I said, if you have a master tier subscription at D&D Beyond, you can already, so that's if you're already invested in the platform, you're getting the virtual tabletop for free. There is also a ton of ways, like if you've purchased different books, you'll have access to all the maps from those books in D&D Beyond Maps, as well as a couple of generic ones. And you have 10 gigabytes of free storage with a master tier subscription that you can upload your own maps to. So there's that. And then the new big news here is Project Sigil, the 3D virtual tabletop. Now, I've played around with Sigil in the past. I've played around with it relatively recently, and it is pretty solid, and it looks great. Now that we're officially out of kind of alpha into like public beta, I believe we're now at the point where we can showcase video and footage of it and kind of stream it. I'd love to transition my Phandelver and Below campaign to Sigil just for the hell of it, to try to show it off. I don't know how realistic that is, because I have to basically build all the maps by hand. But it has all sorts of different lighting effects, magic effects, as you can see here, and a variety of different options. So again, as you can see here, play today with a free D&D Beyond account. It says, immerse yourself in epic D&D adventures. Sigil VTT allows you to craft breathtaking environments for your campaign, from deadly dungeons and creepy crypts to whimsical forests. Build immersive locations using an extensive library of assets, textures, and lighting effects. A lot of those seemingly are available for free. It says, for those looking for a quick adventure, it says Sigil comes with an introductory adventure, Danger at Dunbarrow. Uh, I don't know if that's still the case because I believe in some of the betas we got a different adventure. I don't know if this is still the main adventure, but this is the one you've probably seen in the past with the Ankeg being like the big reveal. Um, and then again, you can start accessing Sigil today. If we click on Sigil, where does it take us? It'll take us here, and then you can obviously go ahead and download and then jump right in. You can see here's the features and content, the difference showing what you can do between the base game and the the master tier subscription. So obviously you can get into it just with the base game. As you can see, you'll do have some limitations in what you're able to do. Another cool thing about it is this. You can see this here. It actually has a mini maker, or I don't know if that'll be here, but that is definitely a thing they've shown in the past, that it has access to a mini making tool. So obviously we have things like Hero Forge, and that's great, but Sigil has its own mini making tool for you to use within the program itself. And again, if it's got things like music and options available, you'll be able to take this thing even further. That's another thing I'd love to see in D&D Beyond Maps, would be the ability to do something with music, so you could do soundtracks. But yeah, I was not expecting Project Sigil to drop today into beta. The only reason I kind of was originally notified of it is I got the notification that my the gold dragon that I got as like a freebie for pre-ordering the whole core rulebook set on D&D Beyond. One of the things you got was a free golden dragon mini for usage in Project Sigil. And I got the email that says it was now available. It's just like, that's pointless if I don't have the program. But again, turns out now I do, in fact, have that program available. You can just hit this, the download Sigil button, and then jump right into it for yourself. And yeah, there's a bunch of tools, and I'm sure people will be sharing maps and things for you to be able to download and play your own. So if it was possible to switch my Fandelver campaign potentially to Sigil, and maybe even just for a couple of encounters to showcase it, I'd love to do that. I just don't know how feasible that is, and I imagine I'm going to have to do a lot of the work manually of building out the all the maps and things. But anyway, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Be sure to stay tuned tomorrow afternoon for a live stream showcasing the new updates to the Artificer. And then also, last but not least, tomorrow night at the 28th of February at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time, my Monster Manual giveaway ends. So if you want to win a free copy of either the limited edition cover or the standard cover of the Monster Manual, consider checking out my giveaway. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.